told there's some real money in the room.
Yes, sir. All right, goddamn me. For the people who don't know, man, let them know who we have in front of the camera.
You have in front of the camera, Mr. Marcus.
Like he tried to seduce someone. No, for real though, man. Mr. Marcus, living legend. You agree with that?
No, I mean I've heard all kind of shit. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's nice to hear some good things like that. You know
Living
what I mean?
legend. You know what I'm saying? I been around for a while, for years on years on years, and even to this day, for your name to still, you know, ring bells and be relevant, man. Like how does that even feel?
It feels like work.
Right.
You know, but it feels like it's easy to do when you're just doing you. You know what I mean? When you just living.
Yeah.
If that comes with it, cool. But it's always, you know.
Yeah.
Things change from one day to the next, bro.
Right. Absolutely, man. So before we even get started, man, what's new in your life?
What's new?
Yeah.
You know, we change like the seasons. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think we're going into winter. So the attitude is different. I don't know, some things came into the life, you know what I mean? You got to pay attention to the signs and shit. So it feels new. It feels like going into 2023.
Right.
There's some shit that can happen.
Well, I want to ask you, because I see you got a Death Row shirt, Death Row piece. You have any affiliations with Death Row?
I mean, just in terms of support and, you know, history. Probably history. The history is long. You know
with
what I mean?
Death Row?
I mean, just in terms of the people that ran Death Row, you know, like, not in terms of like me being there just like as a rapper. Right. You know what I mean? It wasn't my thing, but I was always, you know, I don't know how it happened, man. I just kept being around all these motherfuckers. This is from Snoop. So,
okay.
You know.
So Snoop gave you a Death Row piece?
He gave me a Death Row piece.
Can you, can we start there? I really wanted to jump into your life, but this, like, man, this damn near fucked me up, man. So how did that relationship come about, you and Snoop?
Shit, I don't. You know what? I want to say the first time I met him through Tupac. I met Tupac first, and Tupac brought me to the studio, and it just so happened that day at the studio there was Dog Pound, Daz and Crip were up in there. Johnny J was doing the beat. Suge was there, but Snoop was on trial for the murder case. Yeah. He was, and he just came. It's crazy because I was seeing the dude on the news, and then he comes walking in, and I was like, okay, cool. And he was just cool because I was there with Pac, and so me and Pac, I was trying to, you know, I was all about trying to impress Pac, trying to kick it with him, trying to observe.
How did you and Pac even get together?
Pac reached out. He reached out when he got out of jail and he came here. I guess the way I figured it out is that cats used to watch pornos when they would be in the studio making music. You know what I mean?
Right.
So and they all had, you know, screens in there, so they'd be watching the pornos. And I think maybe just some of my shit was some of the shit they saw. You know what I mean? So he was, I guess he told somebody somebody just in passing said, oh, Pac wants to meet you. And I was like, all right, cool. I want to meet him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And shit, because you know, that's all me and my boys were playing was Pac.
At that time, yeah.
Yeah.
This had to be what?
This was
late 90s?
96.
Okay.
96. Yeah.
Yeah. So you meet Pac.
Beginning of 96.
He brings you to the studio, and everybody's there. Yeah.
Everybody's there. Snoop comes walking in, and Suge, and you know, Roger Troutman was there, MC Hammer was there. You know what I mean? They were all in different rooms. Roger Troutman was, you know, in one of the rooms recording. It was just, you know, how I looked up on that shit. You know, it was kind of strategic. It was like I knew I was gonna meet up with Pac, and I brought some females with me. And
you was ready? Yeah. Let me go ahead. Okay.
And he clicked with one of them, and so then that kind of he said, "Follow me." You know what I mean? So I'm following him to Death Row.
Right.
I met him in Sherman Oaks, and we drove to Death Row which was in like Tarzana area.
Right.
And so that's where, I mean, it goes back that far.
Right. Well, so over time, how did that relationship progress?
With Snoop, it probably was consistent because we did the Doggy Style movies for Hustler. We did 2 of those. And the first time we did that was he called everybody in. That was Nate Dogg, Dog Pound. All those brothers showed up at the house. And it was dope, you know what I mean? We shot the movie. We shot parts of the movie. And we just kind of stayed conversing, you know what I mean? Like through the years, me and Snoop been running into each other at parties, watching them DJ, running into the Dog Pound, seeing them out at shows. This is all West Coast shit.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
All the brothers.
So, man, we gonna get back there, but
that's how that happened.
Right.
Am I going too far into it? You know, just let me know.
Nah, you not, man, because I'm super interested.
Am I losing you?
I'm super interested, but what I'm really interested in hearing, man, is about your life and your story, because a lot of people see you, fans of you, but may not even know like where you're from. So let's start there. Where are you from?
Oh, okay. I'm from Pomona, California.
Okay, so you right here from Cali, man. How was it growing up in Cali?
At times bullshit, you know what I mean? Because it was racial shit. I had to do a lot of racial shit. Didn't get along with Mexicans in high school. Mexicans always want to start shit with the brothers. So that was difficult. And then the cops were always fucking, profiling, pulling. I couldn't drive, a mile without getting pulled over. So all that shit, but I wasn't deep in LA like that. I wasn't around a lot of the shit that motherfuckers were having to deal with. Yeah. We were just dealing with a lot of other shit. I lived out, 45 miles east of LA. It gets a little bit more, not country, but it's valley. It's not so
there's more Hispanics than it is blacks.
I think it was like a territorial thing. It's way more, I was like, man, my babysitter was Mexican. I was eating menudo and shit. I was like, what's the trip? You know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're around some real Mexicans. You eating that menudo.
I'm eating menudo. I'm like fucking, they got the stone grinder for the guacamole. They're making the salsa fresh. I mean, I'm like,
right, the masa for the tamales.
So I didn't get all the racial shit. I didn't get all that. I didn't understand why I was singled out like that. So that's what it was like for me in Pomona.
Yeah, well, did the colors hit Pomona?
Crips and Bloods?
Yeah. So how did that affect you? Were you able to bypass it? Or?
No, I thought I was a Crip. Okay. I thought I was. If I figured Bloods were smaller in number. But I realized later that's because they were smarter and had to be stronger in terms of survival, because there wasn't many of them. Everybody was Crips. Crips were all over the place. So I felt safer with Crips. But I wasn't ever jumped into it. I didn't ever claim anything. I lived in the Angelos in Pomona. They started to be Crips. You know what I mean? But my mom wouldn't let me fuck with it.
Right.
But it was always around. I was always running into brothers that were Crips and Bloods.
How do you feel like you avoided just super gangbanging?
My mom. My mom wouldn't let me get out there and slang. She wouldn't let me do none of that shit. She wouldn't let me do dice. She was like, nah. She's still like that.
Yeah. So what kind of, I guess in school, what kind of kid were you?
I mean, I'm a reader. I like to read.
Right.
That's probably, books were always my thing. I'd just be like gone in the books.
Right.
And athletics, and football and shit.
Right.
Music, entertainment. I got into acting pretty quick. I like drama. I was like that type of dude. Okay.
Well, at what point do you get involved in like fucking these hoes?
Exactly. That part. It wasn't that, I was always, girls were showing me love, but I remember it wasn't until right after high school, girls gave me I had a green light. And the green light with females was like, I could kiss this one, I can kiss that one, I was kissing this one. You know what I mean? They were just coming just coming. And I was like, come here. I was like, welcome them. I wasn't saying no. You got me?
Right.
So you get a little confident. in your sexual, I don't know, sexual attraction. You know you can attract sex that way.
Right.
So I think that kind of opened up the door for me even thinking about porn.
Okay. So you're starting to get these girls, you even thinking about porn, but where do you actually get into the industry? How does one even get into the industry?
At that time, in 94, it was like 93, 94.
Okay.
This is 1993. You know what I mean? So
right.
there was no cell phones, only pagers. Only thing you had was magazines. Magazines were prolific. Right. You know what I mean? TV was, you can turn on the TV, but if you had a porn channel, your parents could block that, so you couldn't. So my mom did that. My right. shit was fuzzy, but you can make out some ass. Right. And you can make out some fucking. So I'm looking at porn. That's what I'm seeing when I'm looking at the porn. Cause I'm looking. I find the magazines. Shit, once I found the magazines, so at that time, that's all you had. In those magazines, they would tell you, this is where we're having a party. This is where we're doing some shit. This is where the porn industry is going to be. And that's, I found a date and a place, which is Las Vegas, no doubt, and the time, and I just went. I just showed up. The same way motherfuckers show up for a movie role.
Right. You auditioned.
I mean, I didn't know what it was going to take, but I think 50% of success is showing up.
Right. The best ability is availability, my coach used to say. So, okay, boom. You show up to the audition. What's the audition like?
Well, I mean, I really didn't have an audition at that moment, but I met a girl.
Okay.
And her boyfriend. And her boyfriend was a producer, director. His name was Ron Hightower. Look him up. Dope dude.
Yeah.
So he was with her, and she hit it off with me, and he was cool with it because he was like, shit, like he was getting his, he was, porn was like that. It can be like that, no doubt.
Right.
But she came to me and gave me the number on the low, so me and her started hooking up, and she was pretty good, and she made me better, I guess, because she was like, you should make some movies. You'd be good for some movies. And I was like, all right, cool.
So was she a porn star already?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say she taught you some things? You say she made you better?
Well, I think she made me better because it was like, if I could hang with her, if I could fuck shit out of her and repeatedly, I think she was like, okay, yeah, you
might have what it takes.
Right.
Right.
You might be good to go. So she gave me. So that was pretty much my auditioning. You know what I mean? And then to go back to Ron, I think Ron was more of my conditioning. So she was auditioning and he was conditioning. Because I would work for him, once I started shooting for him, it was like 3 times a week at least, or more. And it was consistent for months, just work through him. It was a series called Dark Alley. It's all black. I was working with a lot of new girls. It was just like it was a black thing.
So they started you off with the blacks?
No, I mean they started. I started. Ron didn't just shoot black. He shot everything.
Right.
So, but with his situation, it was just more like they wanted more black content. There was the demand for it, and Ron was making some of the best at the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Enough where celebrities would. Even Tupac had seeked them out. I remember Bushwick Bill from the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah, man. The little motherfucker with the big dick swinging.
Yeah.
Nuts still hanging. Got hoes singing the blues. Nah, for real, man.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Ron was an OG. So I was working with an OG.
Nah, for sure. For shit show, man. So you get into the industry, and at what point did you think was your breaking point? Like, to where you became Mr. Marcus?
Fuck, who knows, man? Maybe people can say all kinds of shit. You know
what would you say?
I don't. It's funny. It's funny because people they call me. That's funny. I don't know. I don't ever feel like it's started or ended. It just kind of just started. It just people I can't because you can't tell nobody what to say and what to think. You know what I mean? So
well, I have a theory to where I've seen 2 videos, but I think the one where most people to where you became barbershop talk, it had to be with Superhead.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
I was thinking it, but maybe that's too easy.
It is too easy. That's why I didn't want to go there. I remember it was like a 2-on-2 with like a Hispanic, and he came too quick. And I think you kind of, I don't now I could be wrong, and I don't know the dude's name, but I think them seeing you outperform him and still be working, it was like, okay, this nigga might have something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you know what I'm referring to.
No.
Yeah. Superhead, though. Superhead. So let's just talk a little bit about the Superhead era real quick. So like, how did that production even come about?
That all came because of Suave.
Okay.
I don't know people that know Suave. Suave Triple X. Shout out to my boy, my brother. I was shooting a thing called Mr. Marcus's Neighborhood.
Okay.
And it was all new girls. It was like kind of continual what me and Ron done, like in the beginning of my career. And so with Vivid, it would be just new girls, new black girls, and that was, I'd be looking for new girls, and people would refer girls to me. And Suave was like, "Yo, nigga, you gotta check out this girl. She's the way Suave talks is like she about that thing. She the one. Reach out. You gonna want thank me later type of shit." I was like, okay, all right. So I would always call the girl, "Hey, this Miss Marcus, I want to book you for this scene. Somebody told me you're ready. Get your test.
And these like amateurs, they not in.
They're not even in the business. And so I'd go meet them, whatever, and if we click, we click. And what
do you have to court them? Kind of like, let me take you on a date real quick.
Nah. It depending on how comfortable they were. You know what I mean? Some shit can happen. Some shit be just strictly for the scene, or nothing. It'd be like okay, cool. Strictly like perfect. Like, all right, be at this such time. I'll call you. With directions and all that shit. Or be like, damn, girl, what's up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was either or, and then or nothing at all. Got me? So that's how I was booking these scenes. Girls would come by the office. They would call. People would refer them, emails, whatever. So you just kind of fill out who's who. And with Karrine, it was something about her that, I don't know, we just clicked. You know what I mean? We chopped it up, no doubt. And I told her I needed to do like a little intro, because I'd always film these intros. I'd be like, okay, cool. I do interview style. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or I'd come up with a little story, and I'd have to film all the B-roll, and then we shoot the actual sex. And so with her, we were shooting all the little B-roll stuff. I was filming her driving. We were on the freeway, and I'm filming her riding. She's actually driving my car. Right. And I had her in my car, and I'm filming from her car as we're driving down the freeway. And that was, and she's living it up, just, like she's totally with it. So I was like, cool.
She driving it.
Yeah, she doing her thing. So I was like, all right, cool. And I told her, we said, I don't remember the setup. And then but we didn't shoot the sex that day. So we were going to shoot the next day or something like that, or later that week. It was going to be a few days. And I checked in with her, because some girls change their mind. You know what I mean? They with it today, but they ain't with it tomorrow.
Did you like hit before y'all actually shot the scene?
Mm-mm. Okay. But we was just kind of real flirtatious. And
right.
She's got a little smart mouth on her.
Right.
You know what I mean? So she likes to crack jokes. And she's smart. She's street smart. So she just kind of like got an edge, which I was cool with.
Like a sapiosexual type thing before you get to the okay.
Yeah. We were just kind of flirting around, so it was all good.
Right.
And then that's so funny. And then I think the camera guy I had ready couldn't do it, and because like I said, it was a few days, things change. Right. If you're not shooting it at that moment, sometimes you plan it out, schedules change. So I had another camera guy he came through, But he was more like inexperienced. Backup. I just needed him to hold the camera. I'll do the rest, type of shit. And so we all met up at the house, and she came through. You know what I mean? She was committed. She didn't flake. A lot of girls be flaky. So all that conversation, all that shit, she shows up, and it's just more chemistry. So I'm thinking, cool, we're gonna shoot this shit. And I had never fucked her, never got head from her, nothing, but it was just flirt. And so it comes time to shoot the scene, and we shot it, and as she's giving me head, you know, the nigga bust. But I'm used to busting and still going, so I'm like, all right, cool, it'll be all right. You know, as long as we got that little pop, we're good. And it's condoms, and it's for Vivid at the time. And Vivid condoms, nut already, I wasn't strong. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't like that edge. You need it. When you're going to wear a condom and you're going to fuck a bitch, you need that edge.
Yeah.
That's why they call it edge. Because the condom's going to just, your sensation's going to go down by half a feel. Right. Maybe a full feel. Depending on the condom. You know what I mean? No, so if you ain't, you know, edged, if you ain't erect firm, you're not going to feel the sensation that you are used to. Right. So I put the condom on, and I'm trying to fuck her, but I've already nutted, so I don't have the edge. But I'm hoping I'm catch
regain.
Right. Yeah, regain. Right. You know.
Right. Yeah, you know, I'd have been there.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You might not have been on camera, but
right. Nigga, you know, like, whoa, I got it. You know,
right.
Car back on the road.
Right. Maybe the friction gonna help the
hold on.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Catch that wind, you know, catch the sail.
Right.
So, and I'm trying with the condom, so it ain't like my level where I want it. I could probably fake it. I can get it through it until something. I was gonna, you know, whatever. I get it. I'll get it. I'm a director. Right. I'm the performer. It's all my show. I can, you know, I still have control of the situation. But it wasn't like, I didn't think it justified. It didn't feel like the chemistry that me and her had. It wasn't there. It wasn't there in the sex, and I was like, kind of like, needed that because it was so dope. I knew the sex was gonna be dope.
You talking about the head was so dope?
The sex, you know, the head was obviously dope, but then she made me come. Right. Like, you know what I mean?
How long? Like, how quick did you come?
It was probably, I don't know if I timed it, but it wasn't long enough. You know,
over 5 minutes, under 5 minutes,
under 5, because she just started working on that.
Yeah,
shit. And I didn't expect that level of skills. Right.
Well, let me say this. So, and she's an amateur, right, at this time, or she had a name in the game?
Nah, she wasn't no porn star. I think she only done the only thing she had done up until that point was with Suave.
Right.
And that's how I knows.
Right.
So, you know, if you actually, and here's, you know, to a true fan, if you really want to see Superhead in all her glory, check out the scene with her and Suave.
Free game right there. That's free game right there.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Just jotting down a note. Superhead and Suave. No, for real. So, okay, boom. Now, you put that in the film. Mm-hmm. Like, you put that in the film. You was willing to, you know, kind of take yourself out like that?
Yeah. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Because, this is 2001 or 2.
Yeah.
So, I didn't viral or anything like that. That's not even a word. So,
right.
What I did was I knew it wasn't good there, and I was like, well, I asked her, I said, can we do this another day? Because I didn't want to fucking just, I didn't want to half-ass it. Not with her. And so I was like,
What was special about her? Because I noticed too when we first brought your name up.
We are still talking about her.
Right.
I can't go nowhere without nobody bringing her up and shit. Everybody want to talk about her. You know what I mean? It's just women.
Right.
Women love talking about her. Couples, gay dudes, tranny, whoever sucks a dick.
Right.
They talk about this fucking.
Right. She laid a foundation.
Right. So, and so you know, that's, you know, the truth is that's how shit just really played out. Like I had the blowjob and I spent the money. I was like, you know, but I need to know. That's why I put part one.
At that point, how much was it?
I don't know. I probably, for her, it was maybe maybe $2,000, maybe. You know what I mean? But
man, does it feel like, you know, I know it's like a business too, but does it feel like you paying for pussy sometimes?
I am paying for pussy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what you're paying for though is their time. I always, when they show up, okay, cool. They're about the business. They don't have to show up. Plenty of girls get booked. You know, the money sounds great, but there's conflict somewhere in there, right? And so when they show up, it's just like they treat them professionally. I think, okay, I'm paying for this, so let's make sure we got it covered. Let's make the lighting right. Get the video. You know, her time is valuable. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Right.
And I know we fucking, and I'm hoping we get good fucking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Man, yeah.
Right. I'm just, you know, we don't know.
Right.
Sometimes you don't know.
Right. So you call her back over for round 2.
Mm-hmm.
And round 2 is going on, and how does that go?
Round 2 goes great because, you know, now I know what to expect. And it's a little more intimate. It's just, you know, we're not outside. She came to my office, which, you know, it's comfortable. But she showed up with same attitude, same energy.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like she wasn't pissed. She thought it was funny.
Right.
But she was cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She kind of laughed at you.
Yeah, she
you
totally.
see the authenticity in it.
Yeah, she totally. I was. What did I? Somebody said. I was like, the girl says, niggas that come. You know, in a tweet, this girl said, niggas that come too fast after being in the pussy for like, you know, 3 or 4 minutes, y'all bore me. And then the nigga responded and said, well, what do y'all expect when you bitches talk about how tight and how wet, how good, how juicy your pussy is? It's on you. You know what I mean? If your shit's that good, and, you know, if you make a nigga bust, you don't be mad at that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Help him recover.
Right.
You know, to bring him back, catch the sales again. I don't know, but I read that this morning. I thought that was funny. But with her, she showed up. She thought it was funny, and you know, and shit happens. It wasn't like it hadn't happened before. You know, when you fucking shit happens, you just got to recover well.
Right.
And you got to try to recover quickly.
Right. Well, so as far as round 2 goes, you kind of made her tap out.
Yeah. I mean, that's arguable because I think it was mutual. We got what we needed.
Right. Well, from what I remember, it was like, okay, you know, she kind of won round 1, and then here come round 2, and you know she can't. You know, you was there. You know what I'm saying? And I know that the camera could be manipulated. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I just think what we did was we got what we set out to do. I wish we had gotten it at the house, outdoors.
Right.
I wish you know, we would have had some dope ass shit right then and there. But, you know, what we did get was something bigger because once that shit came out, once that shit hit, it hit in a way where, you know what I mean? Right. It took on a life of its own. I remember watching her on Oprah, you know, a few weeks after everything, and I thought that was crazy as fuck.
So you feel like you blew her up?
Nah.
Keep it real, you know what I'm saying? It's real too.
You know, I don't, because I don't know what it was like for people to watch. I've heard a lot of different
Was she
stories.
on Oprah before Mr. Marcus?
Nah, she wasn't.
Okay.
She wasn't. She wasn't. Yeah. It was just crazy. I mean, but there it go. When you're in the room when things are happening, when you're around motherfuckers, when you've been in the studio with Tupac and Snoop, and you just a porn nigga. You know what I mean? Just before that, I was dealing with shit in Chino. Yeah, you tend to like try to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And you know, be appreciative of whatever it is at that time. That's just
so
my nature.
After you know, Oprah, she goes on a relationship with Lil Wayne. I think like Soulja Boy was trying to try it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. It just seems to me like that kind of set off her career, And before that, were you with Pac? Was Pac already reaching out, or was that like after that?
That came after Pac.
That came after. Oh, so you was already okay. So that's why you say you can't. It's really hard for you to tell.
Yeah, because you find there's all kind of moments.
Right.
Superhead was a big moment, but to her credit, she wasn't like just some chick that could suck dick. She wrote a hell of a book. She wrote a New York Times bestseller. And when you read her
Tell
writing,
it all, yeah.
Yeah, when you read her writing, she's a hell of a writer. Yeah. And I think a lot of women that's the way she promotes herself online now. She's an author. And she's a real author. Right. So, and she has a very sexual, kinky mind, and I'm pretty sure she's been flooded with all kind of sexual shit. Yeah. Enough where she was able to filter it and turn it into, business opportunity. You know what I mean? And what she's done very well. A lot of cats don't give her that, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I always give her credit for that.
You feel like she's top 5 on the Who You hits?
I mean, I would say that. I would say she's definitely, of course. I didn't expect that when I did it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But she's always is up in the conversation.
Yeah. Who your top 5?
I don't really have it. Top. I'm not that. I got my favorites.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I got my friends. My friends with benefits.
Right.
It's kind of worked out like that.
Right. Well, okay. Let me ask you this. How do I word this? So, are you in a relationship right now?
Nah.
Have you been in a consistent relationship?
Yeah.
With like a non-actress?
Yeah.
Is it awkward for her?
It was. Yeah. It can be.
So how does that go?
They probably cool with you, but not cool with what you do. You know what I mean? Like she was cool with me, but she wasn't cool with the whole me being porn.
I'm wondering, like, how do you have that much energy? You know what I'm saying? You work this, then you going home.
It's stamina. I got a lot of stamina. I do have stamina. I do go the distance, but
nigga hit that all day.
I wouldn't. I don't recommend it. I don't know. It ain't easy, and it ain't. And you got to have a real cool partner. You got to have somebody on the flip who it has to be involved with you in how you do things. Mm-hmm. They can be by themselves and do their own thing, but they also have to be involved with you. You have to include them.
Like she was watching.
Nah, hell no. That's cool. If she's cool with that, if that's, you know what I mean. But nah. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I just know, for me, it's like females get jealous over some of the slightest things. Like you liking her pictures on Instagram. I can only imagine. You know what I'm saying? Like right. I'm professionally, this is my profession. This is what I do. We gotta we gotta get it in. You know what I'm saying? This is how we paying the bills. This is how this is how we got a roof over our head. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, so how did you deal with that when the jealousy would arise?
Like everybody else be dealing with it, try to do your best to be like, nah, you good.
Yeah.
Nah, stop tripping. Let's go. You know what I mean? Spending more time with her and shit.
Do you feel like do you feel like you ever got attached to a partner?
A girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit is real.
How did you get attached? Was it because the sex was so good? Was she looked
right,
good?
I was like, dang, girl.
Yeah.
You got a boyfriend? I think it's just one of those things, man. You just kind of, you wouldn't know it, but and it's a rare thing, to be honest with you, bro. It's just one of those things that when it happens, it's like, what are we gonna do about this?
Right. What did you do about it?
Sometimes you kind of it's a strong, passionate thing for a minute. You feel me? And it's time consuming because that's where you put all your energy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
right.
you handle
that's kind of like a conflict of interest, though, huh?
It does.
Yeah.
Accurately described, brother.
You know, I was just saying, because if if me and you doing business and then relationship get involved, like, come on now, you do what it was.
It's tough.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shouldn't
have happened, but it happened.
Nah, for sure, man. Man. So, I really wanted to get back to, before we continued, to the death row situation, right? It's because that's big, you know what I'm saying? Long live Tupac. But just, can you continue on the story that you was at? You was talking about how Snoop Dogg walked in the room and y'all developed a relationship like over the years. So, at that time, you were still more cool with Pac, though, huh?
Well, I met Pac, and you know, Pac was killed that same year. So
he was killed the year you met him.
Yeah. So like, what could have been, should have, you know, it started off dope, you know, and it was real genuine. Like, we're two brothers that, you know, love women, love music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Been through some shit. I only knew him for the few months. Like, we would talk. I would see him out and about, and then he was gone for a little while. And he did the "How Do You Want It" video with Ron Hightower. That came around. I saw him there. All Eyes on Me came out, and he was promoting that shit. But it ended. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, there's way more to it.
And Ron Hightower, you said that was how you got in the game too.
Huh?
Yeah. So the relationships was just intertwined, super intertwined.
Something like that. That's how, you know, and that's where all that came from. It's authentic.
Well, how'd you feel like when he died? How did that affect LA? How did that affect you?
Tupac, when he passed, it was fucked up. But you thought he was gonna survive when he got shot, right?
Right.
But it was fucked up because the dude, you know, I don't think he was even that gangster of a rapper. He was just passionate about it. You know what I mean? And Death Row gave him a platform to, you know, express himself.
Yeah.
He was artistic. He was an artist. He was an actor. He was an activist. You know, he was so much more than just a rapper.
Right.
Can I read the notes, man? What are you guys passing back?
Well, he was talking about Ron Hightower and how he directed the "How Do You Want It" video. I thought that was interesting because it's like, man, you directing porn, you directing, you know.
That was big. I mean, Pac chose him. You know, Pac went over to him and said, "Yo, I want you." And I even got the backstory on that. Hanging out with Ron. Ron told me the backstory how that happened.
How'd that happen?
You know, he met Pac at a Death Row function. They were like giving some, you know, they were like throwing a Christmas party or something. And somebody that knew Ron invited him. Ron got there and, you know, he was hanging out in the audience. Death Row was doing the thing. It was in Santa Monica Airport. And at the end of the event, everybody was leaving. And, you know, Ron's a real quiet, humble dude. So he really was just kind of like on his way out, and Pac seen him. And Pac was like, "Shit, I need to be fucking with you. I need to kick it with some of the girls that you be fucking with." Because I told you, he was shooting all that shit. He was shooting all this dope shit. All the new sisters. It was just dope shit. And Pac recognized. And so they connected. And then Pac went to his apartment and hung out with him. And they, you know, started, you know, they bonded over that shit. They bonded over porn.
Yeah. Good thing to bond over.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I've been bonding with motherfuckers ever since.
Yeah, nah, for real. So then, how in that transition to the "How Do You Want It" video? Yeah. So okay, Pac dies, and out of all the people in Death Row, you maintain a relationship with Snoop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we would run into each other. Crazy shit. I always run into him. I remember I was walking through Hollywood, and they were doing Doggy Style number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And me and him had done number 1. I remember I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and he's walking down with a group of people, and he sees me. He's like, what up, nephew? I'm like, yeah, I'm chilling. And he was like, I said, I just came from the club. He said, yeah. He said, you gonna be on the movie tomorrow? And I was like, nah, I didn't even know about it. He's like, oh, you didn't know about it? And I was like, nah, nobody told me. He was like, oh, hold up, I'm gonna fix that. I'll see you tomorrow. And then I got a phone call like that night. Hey, Marcus, are you available to come to? And I was all like, yeah, no problem, cool. And but and then on set, man, we just, just kind of continue where we left off. We just been maintaining contact on each other.
Okay, so, Doggy Style was an album. Now, the album came with a porno?
No. But it inspired the porno. You know what I mean? It inspired the movie. It inspired it in a way where everything that was happening in the album, in the music, we were trying to bring to life in the movie.
Right. Okay. Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. I feel like I gotta go.
Have you ever seen it?
I've never seen it.
Okay, I can tell.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Yeah, you gotta watch Doggy Style. Number one, the first Doggy Style is probably hard to find. It's with Hustler. Okay. It's probably hard to find, but
it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Doggy Style.
Probably the best one.
About this, man. This real deal history, man. I'm a historian by trade, so anthropologist by trade. So I love it, man. Like that's what I'm here for. I'm here to document history and to let people know who may not know. You know what I'm saying? So you worked with Brian Pumper.
Mm-hmm.
How was that relationship?
Brian was to me, he was just young, and he saw porn as what he had been seeing it as since he was a kid, and now he was actually making it. So I don't think he was like a different generation, exposed to porn in a totally different generation. But he had the opportunity to make porn. I mean, so I always looked at him like, I knew he was a young kid, but I also knew he was watching everything closely. You know what I mean? And I think maybe because of that, he wasn't like developing in terms of like relationships, maintaining relationships, understanding relationships, the dynamics of relationships. When he kind of had his focus on the porn and on the sex. And I figured he was he was a fan. You know what I mean? He was a big time fan of the business. So he was making shit that he, as a fan, he wanted to see. And I think and I get it, because I had to, it's conflicting when people are seeing you for, that's all they see you as. So that's all they project on you. You don't have no balance, no root, no nothing to, family. You know what I mean? Your friends always keeping you in check, reminding, But his world was completely engulfed in the porno shit. And so I knew that, but I'd always try to, deal with him, differently. I'd help him out. I get mad at him. I was like one of the few motherfuckers literally I get stop doing that shit.
What was it that would make you check him
Just he was faking some things. You know what I mean? Just faking a lot of shit. And it was part of the persona. You know what I mean? Of just, just I don't know, just running game on shit that he didn't need to run game on.
Right. Well, y'all had some double penetration scenes. Mm-hmm. How does that even feel, first off, the double penetration? You know what I'm saying? Is that when you this close, the ass is here, the pussy is here, you on top of her, he on top. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, if you are comfortable with yourself, which I am, you just tune into the female. You know what I mean? Just kind of lock in on her. I don't know, maybe by nature, we're capable of doing these things. She wants you to do these things. I need a, have you ever fucked a girl and she's reaching for something? Right. She's reaching for another dick. Watch a girl that has another dick in the room. Chances are she's gonna reach for it. So what I had, my mindset was this is her. She likes this shit. We just are fully able to give it to her. So if I'm fucking her in her pussy and another dude comes and starts fucking her ass, it's almost as if it was designed to do that.
My nigga say it was, and a lot of women feel that way now. Like, a lot of women feel the sexually liberated era. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Boom. So, how do you feel about Bethany Benz breaking her co-star's penis? Yeah, on set.
Penis.
Dick, penis.
Fracturing her.
How does that even happen?
I know, that's what I said.
I didn't even, like the penis is a bone, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it happened to this dude twice. He got his dick broken. Prince, he got his dick was broken twice. And see, and that's because fucking Bethany is a, she's. I was like, you don't feel the dick's not. You don't feel that. You don't see it's
it just feel like it hurts so bad.
I heard that it was blood everywhere.
Man, cuz you ever just accidentally ram your dick, like you accidentally ram it on something, and it kind of feel like, damn, this hoe could potentially break.
I was like, it's from cowgirl, right? It's like cowgirl, reverse cowgirl, but it's from a girl. Like I would fuck a girl who wouldn't seem to really know that my dick was like off to the side. It's like move, let's get in sync. So you're not always in sync, you know what I mean? But so she probably was not in sync, and obviously she wasn't in sync. They weren't in sync. Some shit happened where they weren't in sync, and they miscommunicated, and things went sideways.
How did like is that your first time hearing of somebody getting their dick broke?
In our business, no. I think I heard somebody else. Yeah, I mean, when it's rough. Oh yeah. Balls get broken. Bruising happen. It can if somebody's doing too much.
Your balls get broke.
Swollen. I've seen it all. Not seen it all, but I've seen enough.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Damn, that shit some stuff better left unasked. Everything though, man. Just real quick on Brian Pumper. So he ended up getting dropped from Devil Angels. Evil Angels. Man, and I believe he was blackballed, or at least that's what they say.
Right.
With you kind of watching him come up as a fan, like you kind of described his psyche. How did you just make of the downward spiral?
Shit, because I've experienced my own. I don't think you're not really realizing. You know what I mean? You're going through. I think he just kept thinking, I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do more porn. Because of that blackball, instead of him like growing from that, he decided to go deeper with it. You know what I mean? Like he was doing the cell phone adventures, which everybody was like asking for that. He would always show me these the footage that he was shooting with his cell phone, and I mean he just got like, as a porn fan, he was just capturing like raw, sex.
Yeah.
As porno as you can.
I think he was trying to, he always said he had distribution, so he always had money. I didn't know how he was, because he was set, because people love Brian Pumper. You know what I mean? He hit a fan base. He's recognizable. He's consistent. He was getting new girls left and right. He did Lawrence Fishburne's daughter, which was a big news story. So, the guy had everything kind of handed to him. You know what I mean? And I think he just, there has to be discipline. You have to have some balance. It's just, you need somebody to kind of check you. I would do that from time to time, but I could tell that sometimes it was just kind of, he didn't want to hear it. You know what I mean? He had his own way of thinking and his own way of feeling, and that was going to be it. And it didn't help that he rubbed people the wrong way. You know what I mean? People, when you rub them the wrong way, they tend to shun you. They tend to kind of step back from you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man, well, you talked about you having your own personal downward spiral. Can you walk us through that?
I mean, I don't know what, I mean, people, if you go on the internet, it say one thing, you know what I mean? Be all these little different crumbs to lead you to some conclusion, you know what I mean? And I would probably, and I would be the contributor to that, because I'd be trying to explain some shit. You know what I mean? Trying to explain what I went through, and because my big thing was the testing, you know, the testing, you know, and catching STD in this business, and the testing, you know, it has to be transparent. You know, you catch something, everybody's got to know it. You know, if you caught something, who you work with, you know, you catch gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, HIV, you know, anything, you know, that's our protocol. That's our, you know, I don't know. It's supposed to be fail-safe, right? It's supposed to make people feel comfortable. So for me, I went through this whole thing with the testing, and I got blackballed because I was dealing with something that I was, you know, personally, you know, I was like, people catch gonorrhea, they catch chlamydia, they catch shit, and they get it treated, and life goes on. You know what I mean? Some people want to dwell on it. I don't recommend it. You know, life moves forward. So with me, that was a big, I don't know, because I don't even know if I can articulate it clearly enough. Because I feel like there's people know shit, people that were there, people that could have done things, handled things differently, never.
As far as the blackballing or the testing?
Like there was so many different things because it was political.
Well, I kind of looked into it a little bit, and it was like some women from another country, but they were stars as well. They were in the business, but I guess their testing wasn't accurate over there, or they didn't require it as much as it did over here. So my perspective, that kind of falls back on whoever was directing, right? Because they should have oversaw, you know.
Well, I mean, I think it was we have two different mentalities when it comes to STDs, as far as overseas in Europe and here in America. You know, in Europe, they pretty much kind of will work through the testing system. Like cats work, and they might be positive with something, but they still work, right? And in terms of with syphilis, I think what it was happening out there was there was more of an acceptance to it. There wasn't this shame factor. It wasn't like it was part of the job. It was like, you know, there wasn't an embarrassment factor. And here it was more like, you know, it was, the media picked it up in a real negative way. And I think our industry, American-wise, had also seen it in a negative way. That was probably that was our approach to it. That was one thing. And I think the other aspect of it was, you know, performers' responsibility. You know what I mean? That's how we look out for each other. If I catch something, don't work, get tested, get treated. And so that was the protocol for so long. That's our responsibility. It's not the director's responsibility, it's the performer's responsibility. And that's what I came up under, you know? And so, you know, the flip side is that maybe there should have been more support. There is now. Now they have all the testing in place. They have doctors in place now. You weren't dealing with doctors, you were dealing with clinicians who were just taking your blood, giving you the results. There's no aftercare, there's no treatment. They may refer you just outside the industry for treatment. You know what I mean? So a lot of those things have changed. All those protocols have changed. You know, they're better now. But I mean, I guess that's, you know, that's where I'm at with it. Somebody else, I would be curious to know what other people think, because it was like I said, it was so many different things. And what I saw, when I observed, social media was pretty new. This was like 2011. You know what I mean? So it was a whole different era of social media and the way people worked and spread news online. You know what I mean? So, and viral wasn't really.
Facebook had just been out for a few years. MySpace just ended.
Yeah, MySpace. People were transitioning away from MySpace.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, it's just headlines.
Imagine, man. Damn, I didn't think about it like, you know, coming from the non-internet era to where, you know what I'm saying, news gets picked up to that's all going around. This information now is like readily and accessible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Headlines, the way people worded things, the way they caught your attention. Yeah, I saw a lot of that. You know what I mean? And
how were you able to battle through that?
it was a few hard days because you're not used to that. You're used to like the love, but you ain't never had that much hate. You know what I mean? And so you know, luckily my kids, my wife at the time, my family at the time was very like, you know, kind of like I don't know. I had them in my mind like, okay, well at least I got you guys. You know what I mean? Y'all ain't turned on me. but they slowly, you know, but it also revealed a lot of things. It was like, you know, it was crazy because my public life and my private life were like all like
starting to intertwine.
Oh yeah, and I was kind of like, and I hadn't had that before.
Yeah,
you know, when I started making movies, there was no internet. You know, there wasn't even DVDs. There was no way to ever have. There was no digital footprint of what we do now. It was a magazine and a VHS tape.
I can only imagine, man, and I feel for you right here because it's like, you know, out of nowhere. You know, people who didn't even know, like, you know, family, you know, and I'm in the entertainment industry, so when you know, you try to keep that as separate as possible, but it's not until some bullshit goes on to where it's like, man, well, hey, what are they talking about? Then they asking you, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, in your world, it may be normal for some BS to go down, but in their world, it's so abstract. It's so abnormal. They're so concerned. You know what I mean? And you just like, it's like you can't explain it to them like you would another actor. You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing. Man, and yeah, man, I'm sorry that happened to you that way, at least by the, you know, being a blogger or an interviewer, you know what I'm saying, a journalist, man, it's like, damn.
Well, you know, and what I thought, the way I started, you know, because I laugh at a lot of shit. And got to laugh at shit. And I said, well, of course that shit would happen to me. Of course. Yeah. Yeah, of course. You know,
I mean, you're one of the biggest niggas doing it, man.
Right. I mean, of course I would have to go through that shit.
Right.
You know, look, you know, and it's not even me. It was just, you know, it was like I didn't want it to affect anybody else. Mm-hmm. That's truthfully what it was. I didn't want these girls to be affected because of me. I didn't want these guys to be their work.
It's like you got punished for keeping it real.
Right. I didn't want the industry to take it. You know, I didn't want the industry to be all fucked up.
Right.
It was just weird. It was just like, you know, then you have, you know, I'm used to people loving porn, loving sex, you know, but then you also have people who are like, hey, anti all of that shit.
Yeah.
You know, can't stand it, don't love it, fuck you for doing it. So, you know what I mean? And I think, you know, you get cats, and that was like, they had their time, you know, they had their say.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you're still here, man. And it's just amazing to me, though. Even like, you know, syphilis. There was the Tuskegee experiment. You heard of the Tuskegee experiment where they even after the treatment came, they didn't. They didn't administer it. You know what I'm saying? And man, it's
well, you know, and that's where it became like, to me. I was like, well, it's a teaching moment, right?
Right.
If you're gonna bring it up, then go get tested. You know, if you catch syphilis, you wouldn't, and you know, and there was a news story recently by USC did a study, and they were saying, you know, syphilis affects minorities the most because they're like afraid to go get tested, and so, and it's a disease, it's a bacteria that causes an infection that, you know, it comes, there's stages of it, and you'll see signs of it, and then those signs will disappear completely, and then it will still wreak havoc on your body. And so if you miss that, you know, luckily I caught it and I was able to like get treated. Right. You know, look at me. I'm, you know, thank God. But
Show him the flex one time.
You know. But you know, but I had to like, I said, well, if I didn't, you know, I caught something that I can get treated.
Right.
Okay, cool. And then it became like people were like, you know, but so you have to get educated on it. You know what I mean? And I didn't know shit about it. And so you came and teach them on. You talk to these young kids that are just starting to have sex, just starting to do, you know, whatever. You know, put a word in, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you can get tested, you can take home testing, and you can use condoms, or you can just say no.
It was something you said, man, not to veer off, but you was talking about, like, man, at least I got my kids, and even eventually
right.
became, like, what happened there? Like,
I mean, on a personal level, it was like, you know, the family was like, didn't ask for all that shit. They didn't ask for the bullshit that I was bringing, you know, to the family, to the table. Right. And so, you know, I went through a divorce. So I was going through a divorce at the same time.
Prior to, or?
No, as. It was brutal. It was brutal. I did a lot of Facebook posts, you know, I was in, you know, like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through the day. It was like, I was basically like, you know, I would feel like I had to talk to somebody. I had to like tell somebody like, this is heavy. Like, you know, you know, who gives a fuck? But I was like, at one point, somebody did give a fuck. Now nobody gave a fuck. So it was kind of like, you know, I internalized things. I'm trying to grow, trying to learn from it. But that was going on. The divorce was going on, and then that was going on. And then it was like bad decisions, poor decisions, you know.
Like drinking?
Nah. I mean, I like to drink, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, who don't?
Smoking weed a lot, probably. Playing a lot of Call of Duty. I was all on that shit. I was on that shit 24/7.
Yeah, I just got a new one.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
You learn about that. Yeah. But you know, a lot of just, and then my dog, I would walk my dog 3 times a day. I'm a thinking person. I dive into books and, you know, kind of veg out. But, you know, I maintain a solid relationship. You know, I got a spiritual one, but I maintain a relationship with my, you know, the mother and my kids. And, you know, my daughter was actually looking at colleges at the same time that all that shit was happening. So it wasn't much of a distraction, but it was a responsibility to her to like just focus on that.
Right. Man, so a lot of women that I'm with, you know what I'm saying, I try to encourage them, you know, OnlyFans, we could get some money, you know what I'm saying, just, you know, just as
you
awesome
say,
fun shit.
Say, bitch, you gonna get a job, but you know what would be more fun? OnlyFans.
Yeah, you get these 20 subscribers and, you know what I'm saying, at $15 a month.
We eating good.
Yeah, come on, man, think about the residuals.
Right.
But what I often hear is man, I don't want my kids to like see me in this light. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. How do you and other stars like deal with that? Like the idea that your kids might see you, even like now, like Kim is going through it.
I mean, it's a different era of people who have put themselves out there sexually. I ain't the only one.
Right.
You know, you can go to Pornhub and there's amateur shit. You know, the women seem to have no problem with it. I mean, so I guess, you know, if the, you know, it's like if they cool, we cool. You know, so you know, I haven't, you know, it's tough as a dude, you know, because my kids are, you know, they've heard people call me Mr. Marcus when we out and about, you know, restaurants, shopping, whatever. Mr. Marcus this, Mr. Marcus that. And the kids just kind of, they pay it no mind, bro. So, you know, they both college educated, they both working, they both are, you know, career driven, you know, and their dad just happens to be, you know, was a super freak.
Okay. Well, on that, here's my final question, man. So Darren James, how did his situation impact?
You told him that one?
Yeah, man, my ghost right. But Darren James, you know what I'm saying? His situation, how did that impact the porn industry?
Well, I'm glad you said something about that shit. Because when I was talking to you about like you know, our the 2010, 11 social media changing, Darren had went through when he, you know, with Darren's situation. Darren was a performer, became HIV positive, and he was tested for it, and he was negative. He went and worked, became infected, but because there was like a month window of our testing process, right? You get tested, and you don't get tested again until 30 days later. You're working in those 30 days. So he's working, he's infected, but he doesn't know it. And he ends up, 2 or 3 other girls got infected. So when he retests towards the end of the month, I think he tested in the smaller time frame than the 30 days, comes back positive. Now every girl that he's worked with came back positive. And so what happened with Darren,
which was only 3, right?
Yeah. Okay. And so what happened with Darren, and these were, you know, they were popular performers that worked with other people. So now it's like the industry, you know, it was the industry's policy at that time, or response to that was to shut the business down. At least here, at least locally, you know what I mean? Because he had been out of the country, you know, and he was in South America, so they didn't know. I remember this was when they were trying to use the science and the testing science to figure out, you know, when does a person become infected, and how, and when you are affected, at what point are you most potent for exposure, you know what I mean, to exposing it, or to re-affecting or affecting other people. Yeah. And so with HIV, you know, now we're at 2 weeks, maybe 10 days from actual being exposed, and in that 10-day window, you may become positive. You may not either. People have been exposed and don't always catch something. But, you know, if you're testing within that 10-day window, you can catch, right? It takes about 10 days for it to become positive in your blood. So with Darren, they changed our testing policy. Because then we went, you know, we got shorter. It was more frequently HIV testing. And then on top of that, he got put out there in the media in a real fucked up way. It was, you know, because this dude, usually in this county of Los Angeles, you come positive for any STD, you remain anonymous. You have that right to privacy. You're not, you know what I mean? They will trace your partners, but it's all done privately. With James, it was unfortunate. The industry just basically kind of threw him out there, and he was like on the news, the 6 o'clock news, you know, and there was this black man.
Not the 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, black,
prime,
you know,
time.
His prime fucking time, you know, poor guy, you know, and Darren was like a quiet dude, low key, you know, he wasn't like a troublemaker or nothing. He's all over the news, and you know, porn industry shuts down. Darren James, it's fucked up. His parents didn't even know. His family didn't even know. He hadn't even told them yet. He was still trying to process it. Because at that time, in 2000, I think his was 2004, maybe like 2004. I think he went through that. I don't know. You guys find out the year?
I can find it out real quick. We can do some research.
Right. So
2004.
2004.
Look at that, man. Man, I'll be on it. So, you know, the media and all that, he was on the news. So this is the porn industry. This is a global thing. This is a global business. This black man gets singled out for single-handedly shutting down the business. I went through the same shit. And I watched him go through that. And it was tough because he was a friend of mine. And the funny thing was, I remember this was on Channel 7 News, ABC. They showed a clip. It was 2 black dudes and a white girl. They can only show so much. This is ABC News, right? Darren James seen in this clip. Who's in the clip with him? Yours truly. So they don't distinguish between who's Darren James and who's Mr. Marcus. They just said, you know, Darren James seen here in this clip, and it's me, him, and this white girl sitting in the middle on a couch. And they run this on the, you know, 6 o'clock news. And I remember seeing it like, I called the station. I had to go through all these little different numbers. I called and said, yo, you guys just ran a clip where I'm in, and you're pointing out this dude in the scene has HIV, and you're not distinguishing between the two. Because my phone was blowing up. You okay? You okay? You all right? You know what I mean? Concern. I had flown to Texas, and I remember when I landed, my phone was just lit up. It's crazy. You know what I mean? But those little things affected everything else. You know, Darren James affected the industry in terms of testing, in terms of like now you know, privacy. He sued and won, you know, a substantial case. He became also an advocate for HIV testing, and he would actually go out into minority urban areas where there's no testing and sit down and get people tested and console with people who became HIV positive, because he became a counselor. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? It was like one thing led to the other, and the way the industry treated him was like shit. They treated him like shit. And I think because they like to point the finger away from them. They like to say, it's not us, it's them. You know? So.
Yeah. Man, that's tough, man. That's like you got hit with a double whammy. At that point, you were just a victim of circumstance.
I know. It still happens. You know, I remember walking. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
What you saying, man?
You remember walking. I'm just wondering, is it like all publicity, good publicity?
I don't know. Every time I would find myself caught up in some shit, I'd be like, but then there's motherfuckers do, and now I sit back and I see all kind of shit. You know what I mean? Now I'll be like, whoa. You know, yeah. But I sympathize. Right. I'm one of those motherfuckers. I don't sit there, I don't be like, you know. I saw the white girl, this girl, Sophia, called some girl nigga. She was drunk. And by the time it aired, by the time it got viral, they had her, they had this girl's her whole everything, little white girl. And I was thinking, man,
poor white woman.
She's probably 20, fragile. You know what I mean? That's fragile territory. Motherfuckers ain't equipped for all that hate. Like I told you, there's a lot of love, you know what I mean? But can you handle the hate? You know what I mean? Can you handle all the heat that comes with that? Because I think that's, I barely got through it. I was a sad sack for a while there. You know what I mean? It's heavy. But, like I said, it's strong spirituality, family, friends. The porn thing ain't my universe. You know what I mean? I love hearing stories about it. I love talking about it. I love learning. I'm trying to share some of the shit I've learned and observed and grown from. I feel like I've been blessed with a lot of circumstances that have been awesome. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, cause you were about to say something, and I was just trying to catch it before we veered off. And you was like, you remember walking down the street.
Oh no, I remember walking in this club, and in the club, I remember walking in all eyes, and I felt like all eyes that turned to me, and I was like, oh, this is weird. Yeah. Why is everybody looking at me differently? Why does it feel differently? That was that day that all that shit aired on the news.
Damn.
And I wasn't even caught up in it like that, but I was.
On some dry shit.
Yeah.
How did you respond? Like, these is like, man, here go my paperwork. I ain't,
just like I started realizing people gonna judge you and people gonna think what the hell they want to think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't do shit about it. I can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Right.
I can't put this life in reverse. Right. You know what I mean? It's just just keep going forward, and show other people how to live, with you know, with the unexpected. You know what I mean? Like, you can still be happy and crack jokes and just get, you know, have fun, listen to new song, eat some new food. Yeah. You know what I mean? Fuck with some cool people, wear some new clothes. You know. Yeah. It's always gonna be. That's always gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So, in closing, what's next for Mr. Marcus? I know you've written books. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't know, you know, the Death Row thing. Somebody. I mean, I'm trying to finish this project with Snoop. We did a music video called "Get This Dick." That's the name of the song. It's a dope ass song. Him and Lil Duval, and I think the guy's name is Orlando. It's dope. It's an anthem. Come and get this dick. It's like niggas beat. You know what I mean? Hey, yeah, dun. That's the hook. You know what I mean? So we did an animated version of it. Haven't finished it yet. I'm trying to get that done. And you know, that's something. We're working on a dope ass cool little podcast talking about the industry, just interviewing you know, a lot of our friends and people we admire in the business, maybe even some controversial ones. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, I wanted, our industry has a lot to, you know, there's a lot of stories in our industry. So working on, you know, a big series style show about the business with a bunch of characters that you're gonna be able to relate to. You might even see yourself in what they're going through. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be all bad, but there's gonna be some shit that happens. But you know, you gotta figure out how to, like, you know, you want to tune in to see what happens next. And that's the way it's always been, you know, in this business. What's gonna happen next? Right.
Nah, for shit show, man. This been a movie, man. Let me get a Real Tune TV shout out.
What's up? Oh yeah, and then sex toys. Mr. Marcus sex toys.
Oh, you got them sex toys out?
I'm about to go hard with the sex toys, because sex toys, that's a money maker like a motherfucker. Yeah. I've always been around it and I've always touched on them, but I ain't never really embraced them. But because it ain't, you know, it's not about you, nigga. So, you know, it's like, I gave them away at my birthday party. I did like 25 gift bags, sex toys. And the bitches were loving them. The females were loving them. Right. And they were switching toys because I didn't put all the same shit in everybody's bag. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I felt like I was giving back.
Everybody got their lane, man.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
You know, so maybe.
For sure, man. For sure, man. Anything else that we didn't ask that you want to touch on?
That's it. I just want to. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. You know, shout out to Bad Daddy, Daddy E. You know. Yeah. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, real tone. There's some real money in the room.